All right, guys, here was how we did. We're starting to getting into doing systems of equations, but being able to write the equation ourselves from a word problem, which was definitely be level 4. All right, let's look at the warm-ups we did today. The warm-ups are actually kind of a little tricky. It says we're going to use Q for the number of quarters that we have. I should put number of quarters, and N is the number of nickels that we have. Sometimes, as we will do in our homework, the sentence will completely lay out in order what the equation looks like. Sometimes you have to actually think about it. So let's look at number 1. It says, I have 3 times as many nickels as quarters, which means that they're using a sentence to compare the number of nickels and quarters. So I'm going to say the number of nickels I had is N, and we're going to compare it to the number of quarters I have, Q. But it doesn't say that they have the same amount of nickels and quarters. It says I have 3 times as many nickels as quarters. Now you might think, okay, then I need to put 3 by the nickels because I have 3 times as many nickels. But actually, this means we actually have to make the quarters pile 3 times bigger, because equals means it needs to be fair. So if my nickels pile is 3 times as big as my quarters pile, then I need to multiply my quarters pile by 3 to make it equal. So one strategy you might have is on sentences that don't walk you through step by step like they do on the homework. You kind of have to think, okay, are they comparing 2 things? And how do I make the small pile bigger in order to make things fair? So my quarters, I said, was my small pile, so I needed to multiply them by 3 to make it equal to the nickels. So that's the first sentence. Number 2 says, I have a total of 12 nickels and quarters. This is a sum problem. Anytime they have sums or when you add things together, it's very simple. You just take the two variables you're talking about, or nickels and quarters, and when you add them together, that's called the sum, and it just means I have a total number of 12. So if I had the number of nickels plus the number of quarters equals 12. Using those 2, you should be able to figure out what nickels and quarters are. That'd be like a level 1 substitution. Problem number 2, I messed up. I was supposed to put $1.75, not $2.75, 175 cents, or $1.75. But here we go. All right. This one says I have twice as many nickels as quarters. This one is doing the same thing where it's doing a comparison between nickels and quarters. But it didn't say nickels and quarters were the same amount. It said I have twice as many nickels as quarters. So the nickels is the bigger pile. If I want to make these things equal, I'm going to have to make my quarters pile twice as big. So you always are trying to help out the small guy. So the quarters was 2 times smaller. So if I wanted to make it equal, I would have to make the quarters pile 2 times bigger. Number 2 says I have $1.75 or 175 cents. This is a hard one. This is when you start having to multiply by the value of something. So in the first one, it said I had 12 coins. So if I added up the nickels and the coins, I would get 12. But now we're talking about cents, so we have to multiply by the value of something. So if I take the number of nickels that I have and I multiply it by 5, because I have 5 cents per nickel, and I take the number of quarters I have, but I multiply those by 25 because I get 25 cents for every quarter that I have, then I've just come up with an equation that tells me the number of cents I have in my pocket, but I know that it's equal to 175 cents. So now we have another substitution problem where I know N is exactly equal to 2Q, so I can take out N and put in 2Q. This is a level 2 problem though, because I have to remember to multiply by 5 before I do anything else. So from this step, you should be able to solve for sure and figure out the number of quarters and nickels that I have. All right, so the homework problem. Now these ones are actually a little bit easier. Sometimes the